Hey guys, what's up? Matt Maker here. For the first episode of Halo Reach Forges, I actually got my Xbox name from Forge. I really love it, so I'm excited for this segment. This is just the first episode about making a basic map. Right here I'm showing off all the items that are available in Forge, all the weapons, all the other stuff, the gadgets, the vehicles. Forge is really a great thing for Halo. This is one of the things that I prefer over Call of Duty for Halo is Forge, just because of how cool it is, to make your own map, and then you can play it with all your friends, and they like it, and it's a fun thing to do. And just showing off all the different things. There's so many different things you can use, and it's crazy. Like all the buildings shown here, all the blocks, the walls, the other little things like the gadgets. It's really it's a lot to take in at first. It's a lot you can do. And yeah, so first thing you notice is the world is giant. I mean, look at this. Look at all this space. There's the island right there. There's a canyon way over there to build in, that cave in the middle. Behind you where you spawn, there's a bunch of stuff in there. Then you come up here to the top. There's quite a bit of room up here where you can build stuff. It's really a huge Forge world compared to the customizable map in Halo 3, which was much smaller, and this has a lot more options for you to do. So to kind of show everything, I'm just going to be down here on the island right here. So basically when you want to start, you want to go to structure right away. Right there, structure. And when you're first starting, go to buildings, because you want to start big and get small as you go along, because you want to get all your basic structure, which is like the buildings, in, and then you want to go put in the door frames and stuff. So I'm going to start with a tower 2-story, which I would recommend starting with like a tower. One of the towers. Doesn't matter. I usually like to start with a tower 3-story or tower 2-story. And what I just did was press B and went to rotation snap and put it on 90, because that is something to make clean shifts so that you don't have wobbly edges or whatever. And what I'm doing now is also making the best adjustment to the ground, so that you don't have to jump or whatever to get up. So that one looks pretty good right there. It's not much of an edge. I move it over a little bit, and that'll work. That's a good basic placement for a start. From there, you're going to start maybe attaching some more buildings. Like I'm going to put a bunker box on the side just to have a little room to go in, and I'm going to change the rotation snap to 45 to have it still clean but not a 90 where it wouldn't fit. So I'm attaching it there to the side, which you can really, in the doorways on the towers, you can attach it to other towers, to different buildings, whatever you really want. And so I have that there. Now moving up to the second floor, there's that little gate right there that would go into the bunker. And sometimes you want to put like a bridge out to maybe go to somewhere else. So you'd go to bridges, and as you can see, I'm pretty sure this bridge medium is not quite long enough. You're better off going longer than shorter, because a lot of times you can hide the runoff from a longer bridge. See, this is not going to make it, and then you end up cutting into the bunker. So you're going to probably, for this one, want to go with like a large. But always remember, go larger than smaller if you are in a situation like this. So there, it's a little bit over, but at least it's not cutting into the bunker, and it's not really cutting into everything else. With the sides, it's harder to push back into the building because the sides get in the way and it makes it look not very good. And so now you may want to attach something else. You can attach another building or whatever. I'm going to attach a pyramid just because it kind of goes off into the ground and is kind of a nice little entrance. So there's two or three entrances into the base. Also right here, since I couldn't get the thing to fit, you go to B and go to edit coordinates and go to height, and you can adjust it. It goes much slower, but when you adjust the height, everything is much cleaner, much no more hitting the ground when you're trying to walk. See, it goes over pretty smooth, looks good. It's something I like to use. It takes longer, but if you are wanting to be like a pro at making maps on Forge, that is something you're going to need to get used to using. So now that you have a basic structure, you want to get into like doors and walls. So I'm going to put a door right here. Just, because you want to have some cover, otherwise you can get shot easily. You want your base to be a base and actually give you cover while you're inside of it from the outside. So I'm just putting a door there, and then, you want to put some walls to cover up that corner. You can put walls really anywhere. You can put walls on the sides, any doors you don't want to go through. You can either put a door, or not door, a window, or a wall, whatever you really prefer. And I'm just going to edit the coordinates here, maybe not. Just to make sure it's clean. Sometimes I check the coordinates. And since the wall was too big right there, you can go to like decorations or whatever. And there are sometimes smaller stuff like the column here. I'm using the column to finish off the wall, just to be sure that I don't bring the wall too over and it looks sloppy. So I'm putting those to kind of finish the wall off a little bit, and that's just something you can use when making something basic like this, like one base. And once you kind of put all that stuff in, I just accidentally moved the building there. Once you put everything in, you're probably going to want to put weapons next before anything else, because when you're playing with friends on something you made, you're going to want to have different weapons to spice things up a bit than the standard assault rifle you spawn with, or whatever weapon you choose to spawn with in the game type. And you might want to start by putting out like a turret. You can put turrets in different places. Like you can put it up here. This is a good place to put it if you have a pyramid up on top, because you can kind of defend all fronts. Sometimes you can put some sandbags around it, which I'll get into more later about the sandbags. But you just, you put out more. You can put out like some weapons inside the base. You can choose. There's Covenant weapons and human weapons. So usually the Covenant weapons are a bit more powerful. So I usually put a few more human weapons because I don't want a bunch of like rocket launchers and plasma guns just completely dominating. I would want to put up, like, have people have a longer fight than just shooting each other with a one-shot kill blast radius gun. So then you can put maybe a turret like out here. It depends. Here's some of the other guns. I'm going to put a needler down there, just once again put weapons kind of out there that people can pick up. And then I'm going to put in armor abilities, which you probably will spawn with like sprint. But I'm going to put out different ones so that it's not just sprint or no armor ability. That way you have more to choose from, like jetpack. I'll put a few jetpacks out because those are usually the popular choice, and I don't want them always being run out, so I'll put like 3, I think. Drop those down there, kind of at the top where you can fly out of the top. It's a good idea. Hologram. That's kind of if you're sitting in a base and you someone's waiting for you. You send a hologram out, and then they shoot at it, and you come out while they're shooting at the hologram, and you kill them. So that's, you put it kind of in the base too. Then you can put some in that little bunker if you decide to put one. And this is really just a basic base right now. And now what I would do is, I do this a lot. You can find a little hidden secret place in your map where you put like a really strong weapon, like a rocket launcher, just hidden. And there's like one. I put it under here because not many people are going to be walking under here and see that. It's going to be hard to get at. So I just accidentally moved the building there. Now that that's there, and the weapons, if you want, are pretty much out. That rocket launcher accidentally like glitched up. So I'm just going to delete that rocket launcher because it's in view. And now that you have some weapons out, you're probably going to want to start thinking about some vehicles. And there are a lot of different vehicles. Flying, on the ground, I'm going to put a Banshee out. But before you really want to put any of those flying vehicles out, go to Structure, Bridges, and Platforms and find Landing Pad. Because it's a great thing to use, especially if you use a lot of them. You can put they're good to attach to a base to have flying vehicles on, for sure. They're really good sometimes for fighting and sometimes for putting like a shade turret on at the end. But I'm just going to put a Banshee and a Falcon on because I just want to show it off. And you can put multiple at a time. I usually put the side that has no walls on it towards the base just so that it looks cleaner and it's not going against it or whatever. And there's the Falcon. So now you have your ships on a landing pad. You can put out multiple. It doesn't really matter. And then you're going to want to put out some shade turrets probably. Find a good place for those because they're a turret. They don't move. But they're in the vehicle section for whatever reason. I don't know. They're basically a big turret. And I'll show you how they shoot for those of you who don't know. But they're like the regular turret. They can go, except they can go a lot longer, and they have a shorter fire rate. So, see, the rate of fire is slower. It goes a lot farther, though. See, I'm shooting into the air. You can shoot it pretty far. The regular turrets are much better close range because they shoot faster. However, long range, they disperse quickly and kind of hit the ground, and they're very inaccurate. So you're better off if you're doing like a long range. If you want to have some air defense, put in some shade turrets in an area where you can get an open view of the sky. And from there, I'm going to put in some ground vehicles. So right close to the edge, put a Mongoose for like a quick escape or whatever. Then put in some Warthogs or whatever you really want. Sometimes for the Warthogs, you want to put in like you could build a garage with like a if you go into walls or doors, windows, and walls in the structure area, there is a tunnel long at the end, which sometimes makes a good garage for Warthogs. I've done that. I've put them next to each other and stack them. I do that in a lot of maps sometimes. But for now, I'm just gonna put them on the side here, and then there are 3 different Warthogs. The regular turret, which is just a machine gun turret. Everyone knows really what that does. Here's the Gauss turret, which is more powerful. I usually consider it a newbie thing. I don't include it in a lot of maps because it's just cheap. It's really way too strong. And I would prefer to put a rocket Warthog because it's less newbie, but it still gets the job done. So that's something I would recommend doing. So after you put in your vehicles and everything is, how you like it with the vehicles, you pretty much have your map so far, but there are some little things you can add that might help with your map. Like in the gadgets section, for example, there's a ton of things that are helpful, like a health station. What that does is you can put it on the wall. It's like a health pack in the campaign and online. If your health, like my health right now on the screen, it's the 3 blinking red. If I go and get that, see, it brings it up. So that's what the health pack does. And it also regenerates your shield like right away if you get it. You can bring the spawn time down if you press X, and I do that sometimes. You can pretty much just put a few of those on the wall of the base if you want. Just anywhere, like inside, outside, on the wall. And those are pretty helpful. It's just one of those little things you put in at the end. You wouldn't start with a health pack, in your map. And the power-ups, this is just like, these are little camo things, They're better than the active camo armor ability, and see, I'm invisible with good camo. It kind of stops showing when I move. Then there's an overshield, and what that does is just give you more of a shield. I'm not going to show that because it's not all that great. Custom power-up you can adjust in the game type so that doesn't do anything now. And then there are the man cannons, and those are different things that kind of shoot you in the air. Sometimes I use them to get to like higher platforms. There's the regular, there's the heavy, which shoots you farther, and you can see the beam is longer. And then there's Cannon Man Light, which really does not shoot you far. It shoots you, I think, the least. And see, that's them in order, the different beams. Then the other ones are a gravity lift and a Cannon Man vehicle, which the gravity lift and the vehicle one are both straight up, and the gravity lift is much less. I guess the gravity lift is for when you're like inside a building just to go up, and the man cannons if you're really trying to get on like a high place, and the vehicle one is way high place. So I'm just going to show you here all of the different ones and how far they shoot you in a row. I think I start with the gravity lift, and I'll do that first and then go in order, and then the vehicle one at the end. So I'm actually, gravity lift, that just kind of shoots you in the air a little bit, not too much. You might get a little fall damage like I did. Then the light, see, it really doesn't shoot you very far. I only got a little bit offshore. I was still on the sand pretty much. Then the regular one, it shoots you pretty good distance. I'm more out into the water this time, not too much farther, but farther for sure. And the heavies, if you're shooting a long distance, like big difference here. So I'm flying pretty far in, much farther out, and that's something. Those are personal preference, whether you put them in. The vehicle and the gravity lift, I compare, if you're going higher up, you're going to use the vehicle one. But if you're just going a little bit, you're going to use the gravity lift. And see, that shoots you so high that if you just fall back to the ground, you die. And, you really need to be reaching a platform for that, because otherwise you do die. Also, one thing you do need to add to your map, notice I spawned way out in the middle of nowhere. Our map's way over there. So, what you're gonna want to do is put out spawn points. And those are the things, if you saw I deleted at the beginning, those are initial spawn points, which make you spawn there at the beginning of the game. I deleted them because that will just screw up your map. You don't want to keep them in that original spot. It screws stuff up. So if you go to spawning, there's an initial spawn. You only spawn at that at the beginning of the game. So I don't really use those because you don't need them. There I'm changing the team. Depending on what team you put, if you put red team, only the red team can spawn. So I'm just going to put respawn points because you can always spawn from them. I'm going to put a neutral, or not a neutral, red team first, because you can, that way a red team only spawns there. Put a neutral there. Put maybe a blue down here, blue team. Accidentally went the wrong way. So those spawn points are important, because otherwise you will not spawn on your map at all. Though they are necessary, definitely important, but I would put them in at the end just so that you have everything in the right place for sure. The initial loadout camera is what everyone sees at the beginning. Everyone sees this image at the beginning. You can put two and make one red team and one blue team, and it changes it so maybe only red team sees one and then only blue team sees another. Maybe if you're doing multiple bases, like two. That works. I do that too sometimes, but it's nice to have a little loadout camera to add a nice little touch. So see, it's right on the base there. Adds a nice beginning picture to put in. Now, this is a safe boundary, and what that does is if you step outside that boundary, you die right away. Soft safe boundary, if you step out that boundary, you get 10 seconds to go back in. Now, kill boundaries, you go into the killed boundary, they're opposite. If you go into it, you die. The soft is the same. You go in, you have 10 seconds to get out. Those are helpful if you're trying to block off a part of the map, so you can't just wander around the whole Forge world. You want to keep it confined. Next is the shield, or one-way shield, which is like basically, well, no bullets can go through, but the one-way shield is you can walk through one way, but the orange way, look, you can't go through. Blocks it off. That's sometimes good if teammates spawn in like a same room, but you block it off by putting them on both sides so it's blocked so that they can't get at each other, but they can see each other. Here's just bigger sizes if you're doing a bigger wall. That's just, you can put those in maybe at a door or whatever. Special FX is just, it changes the color. Sometimes good ones are like Juicy because it makes it look like Halo 3 sometimes. That makes it more colorful. Nova sucks. Don't use it unless you mix it with something old-timey there, which makes it old-fashioned. But what you can do is you can put multiple out at once and they combine. So like if you want to make a dark like night map, a good one to put out would be purple and next gen, I believe, because it makes it darker and it makes it more like it's a creepy night. Maybe just purple. I don't know. Purple makes it a little, darker. Just more like it's night. If you want to add that effect, or old-timey with it works too. And that's just one thing again you add at the end. Accident right there. Now there's the shield doors. Shield doors are the same thing as a one-way shield, except you can go through both sides. They're just called shield doors because you can't shoot through. Next are teleporters, which are really helpful if you want to like combine a base together. I accidentally dropped that too far down. Those just, you set them up, and if you do a sender and a receiver, you go through the sender and you land on the receiver. That's pretty much it. Pretty basic. I don't really like using them, the sender and receiver. I prefer two-way, which means you can go back and forth. So, say you have two bases for one team, or something like that. And they're spread out. You can do is set up two, and you can change the teleporter channel if you press X. Here's all the different ones. There are several. That's just, keep it so that you don't keep going to different teleporters. That's just so that you go to the one you know for sure you're going to. So I'm going to put these two on Bravo so that they don't connect to the receivers I put out earlier. And then you jump through, you come off that one, and then you can jump back through it. It's not like the other ones. There, see, you jump right back through, and you can keep going back and forth. So now I'm going to move one of the teleporters farther away to give you more of a feel for what it can do and what time it can save. Maybe just, that one's in the base. I'm going to move this one way up to the Coliseum where you spawn, just to kind of show how helpful it could be. You could have a base up here or something, or like a sniper nest. Sniper nests are something cool to put into your map sometime. I didn't put that in, but that is under bridges and platforms. You can put sniper nests. Those are just something if you're far away up on a cliff. It's pretty much a bridge that's slanted up with like a little thing at the end, little box to stand in. This is a kill ball, which is in gadgets, and it kills you. Pretty obvious because it's a kill ball. And I'm just going to delete that. It can also kill vehicles. Also, what's weird is when you die in the little ball form, you spawn in the ball form and you look different than when you turn into it. Like, the shield is different. It's weird. Those are just some random things. These are lights. All the different lights you can put in if you want. Just minor little things you can add at the end. You can only put in 2 lights at once. I don't really like that. I think it's kind of cheesy. You should be able to put out more, but you can't. And the flashing ones are kind of stupid. I don't know what you'd do with the flashing ones necessarily, unless you're in a dark room with like an infection game type, and those just keep flashing on and off to make it seem scary. Something like that. Otherwise, there's just explosives. Those just blow up when you shoot them. Not too exciting. These are for like if you're doing territories or capture the flag game type. That will be in another episode on how to make all that stuff. And here are barricades. Barricades are you can add at the front to kind of hide behind. The small ones just to hide behind. This one you can maybe put a turret through. I don't know, I'm going to try it. Maybe put a turret through it. I don't know if you really can. You might have to put it on like a block to put it up. And then there's Covenant barriers. Those are, you can damage them, but they never really break. These portable shields you can break temporarily and they come back. So I'll show you right here. See, I'm just going to beat them down twice. Boom. Gone. These, you know, they look like they get beat up, but they never actually blow up, you know? They stay there, and then they respawn. These never anything happen to them. They don't get injured. Same with this one. And it's pretty much those. I don't use them too much. They're not too necessary. Then the camping stool, that's just really pointless. I don't know what you would need for those. They don't do anything. Crates, that's just for look effect. They don't do anything. The only one that could really do anything is the crate that's half open, because you can maybe put a gun in there and put the thing on fixed so that they stay up and it looks like it's in the crate. Otherwise, those are useless. Sandbags, you can make a sandbag wall instead of a regular wall for cover or whatever. The turret wall here, you know, has a little hole for the turret right there. The turret can go through. Otherwise, there's a corner, so you can make make it corner around you so you have more cover. There's a 45 degree and a 90. The 90 is curved much more. And, you know, if you're making an actual sandbag like building, you might want to use that. And then there's the end cap, which really I don't know what it's there for. It's pointless. Then the street cones. Street cones don't really do anything, but maybe if there's a part you have blocked off, you can put it there to signify or whatever. It's pointless. You can beat them down and shoot them or whatever. They are pointless. And there's Kanan 0000 whatever 15. He's been in my zombies videos. He's just in my party there, and I don't know, I was just talking to him. Now here are the inclines. If you want to put in like ramps, you know, you can walk up them. You can attach them to your base. There's shallow, steep. There's these, the circular ones, where you can make like a circular stairway if you're making like a lighthouse. You can put those up and circle them around. Then there's the bigger ones for maybe like a battle arena to go in. Something like that. Then there's a bridge ones, which is like a bridge that is inclined. Then the big ramp, which is like both ways. I never really understood that. Then there's a stunt for like cars. You can drive cars off that. Not anything too exciting. Different rocks. All the different rocks. And they sometimes add like that. You can make, if you use a ton of those, you can make like actual mountains. You can do arches to make like a natural doorway. And then there's a grid, just giant little platform. You can, you can put that in the sky to make like a sky base that you can walk on or whatever. Also, sometimes you can use it to put it in the water so you can walk on the water. But if you really want to walk in or on the water, there's a way to get out of the map, in which you can go underwater and put an underwater base. There will be a video on that coming up sometime soon. And I just died on accident, walked off the edge of the grid. And then I respawned back at the base because I put up the spawn points. There's the grid. You can put it in the water just right so it doesn't show up. And that is basically it. That's all the elements of Forge. That's basic, how to make a basic map with things. Remember to start off big and go small. And this is Matt Maker, and please subscribe. We'll have more episodes coming up soon.